Peachtree Street's secret garden. The bustle of Peachtree Street in Atlanta was a constant torrent of horns, hurried conversations, and the distant echo of music filtering from the nightclubs. In the midst of this urban chaos, almost hidden behind a facade of aged brick and a wrought iron gate covered in wisteria, there existed a haven of peace. The garden, Eleanor Vance's creation. Eleanor, a talented but tormented artist in her 30s, had inherited the property from her grandmother, an eccentric botanist who had cultivated this oasis in the heart of the city. For Eleanor, the garden was not just a green space, it was a sanctuary, a living canvas where she could escape the noise of her mind and find solace in ephemeral beauty. Of the flowers, her life was a constant duality. During the day, she worked as a graphic designer in a fast-paced advertising agency, dealing with impossible deadlines and demanding clients. Tez. At night, and especially on weekends, he took refuge in his garden, where his earth-covered hands and the sweet scent of roses offered him a sense of belonging that the undue exterior often denied him. One spring day, while Eleanor was pruning the climbing roses that twined around an old arbor, she heard a male voice that startled her. Excuse me, is this place open to the public? He turned and saw a tall man, with brown hair disheveled by the wind and blue eyes that seemed to reflect the Atlanta sky. He was wearing the camera hung from his shoulder, and a genuine expression of curiosity on his face. No, I'm sorry, Eleanor replied, a little defensively. It's a private garden. Oh, I'm so sorry. Simply, it seemed like a magical place from the street. I am Daniel Hayes, photographer. I am working on a project about the hidden spaces of Atlanta. Daniel smiled, a smile that reached his eyes and softened. He erased the lines from his face. Eleanor felt a pang of something she hadn't experienced in a long time. Interest. Eleanor Vance, he replied, offering her a hand covered in dirt. Daniel stretched carefully. It's a pleasure, Eleanor. Your garden is truly extraordinary. Despite her initial reluctance, Eleanor found herself inviting Daniel to come in. She showed him her favorite flowers. He told her the stories of the plants that his grandmother had brought from different corners of the world and explained how the garden was her refuge. Daniel, in turn, was fascinated by Elian's passion, or the tranquil beauty of the garden. He took photographs with his old Leica camera, capturing the light filtering through the leaves, the delicate display of the petals, and the serenity on Elle's face. Eleanor, while she worked. With time, Daniel's visits became more frequent. They shared coffee under the wisteria-covered arbor, talked about their dreams and fears, and found I feel a sense of comfort in the presence of the other. Eleanor felt seen and understood in a way she had never experienced before. Daniel admired her artistic talent, her deep connection with nature, and the vulnerability that she hid behind a facade of independence. Her friendship blossomed as exuberantly as the garden in spring. Laughter mingled with the birdsong, and the silence's sighs were filled with a tacit understanding. Slowly, the barrier that Eleanor had built around her heart began to crumble under Daniel's warm gaze. However, life, rarely does one follow a straight path, especially in the intricate streets of the heart. Eleanor's past was a persistent shadow, a sad melody that often interrupted the symphony of her present. A traumatic event in her adolescence had left her with deep emotional scars, making her fear intimacy and vulnerability. As her relationship with Daniel intensifies, but Eleanor's fear also grew. She feared opening herself completely, feared that Daniel would see the broken parts of her and reject her. She began to distance herself, to cancel dates, and to become more reserved. Daniel, feeling the change in her, was confused and hurt. He had come to love Eleanor's warmth, her sharp wit, and the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her garden. No, I understood her sudden coldness. One rainy afternoon, Daniel found her in the garden, under the tool shed, with a lost look. Eleanor, he said softly, what's happening? I know you've been distancing yourself. Eleanor avoided his gaze, her hands nervously playing with a pair of rusty pruning shears. I'm fine, Daniel. I'm just busy. Busy doesn't explain the sadness in your eyes, he replied, approaching. I trust you, Eleanor, but I need you to trust me too. Tears began to well up in Eleanor's eyes. I can't, Daniel, she whispered, with a broken voice. There are things about me, dark things, that you wouldn't understand. Daniel knelt before her, taking her hands in his. I don't care what happened, Eleanor. We have our shadows. The important thing is that you don't have to face them alone. I want to be there for you. Eleanor finally looked up, her eyes full of pain and vulnerability. She told him about the accident, about the guilt that had tormented her for years, about the paralyzing fear of being hurt again. Daniel listened in silence, his heart oppressed by her pain. When she finished, he embraced her tightly, without saying a word. In that embrace, Eleanor felt a spark of hope, the possibility of being accepted and loved despite her imperfections. However, her path towards the healing and the full acceptance of their love was not easy. Doubts and fears resurfaced, like weeds trying to drown the flowers of their blossoming relationship. There were misunderstandings, the painful arguments, and moments of profound insecurity. One night, after a particularly bitter argument, Daniel left, leaving her alone in the oppressive silence of the house. Eleanor felt devastated, convinced that she had ruined the only good thing that had happened to her in a long time. She took refuge in the garden, walking aimlessly among the shadows of the plants. The beauty that always he had offered consolation, now she seemed cold and distant. She sat by the pond, observing her distorted reflection in the dark surface. At that moment, she remembered her grandmother's words. A garden requires patience, Eleanor. There are seasons of growth and seasons of drought. But if you take care of the roots, the beauty will always return. The words of her grandmother resonated in her heart. He realized that his relationship with Daniel also required patience, understanding, and the courage to face the weeds of his past. The next day, he looked for Daniel. He found him in his studio, surrounded by photographs of Atlanta, including many of his garden. Daniel, he began, his voice trembling. I'm sorry. I'm afraid. Very afraid. But I don't want to lose you. I want to try. Really. Daniel turned, his face relieved. I'm also afraid, Eleanor, but my love for you is stronger than any fear. I want to build something real with you. Flourish together, like a garden. They embraced, the distant bustle of the city fading into the silent promise of their love. With time, Eleanor learned to trust Daniel and to allow herself to be vulnerable. In turn, he learned to be patient and understanding with his struggles. His love became a safe haven, a secret garden where they could be themselves, with all their imperfections and hopes. Years later, they married in the garden that had united them, surrounded by the fragrance of roses and the soft murmur of the fountain. Eleanor was no longer the tormented artist who hid from the world. He had found freedom in love and acceptance, and his art flourished with a new depth and joy. The secret garden of Peachtree Street became a symbol of his love, a testimonium, onion, of the beauty that can flourish even in the heart of a bustling city, and of the strength that is found in opening the doors of the heart, letting in light and love. And so, amid the constant movement of Atlanta, his love became a beacon of tranquility, a reminder that even in life's drama, true love can take deep root and flourish forever. End.